there's a lot of pressure on women to, you hear people say, I'm just a mom. No, you're not. You're a mom. Like, don't take just out. Because I think that there was like this whole thing about if somebody said that, somebody could come in and try to make you feel bad about it. And then you're feeling a little bit bad, or you feel a little guilty, or feel a little bit, you could have two people with the exact same life, and one's going to feel bad about it and one's not.
Yeah. And that ties back to our ADHD conversation about it's the emotion behind it, not the actual action in itself.
And a societal pressure, and whether you're going to take the societal pressure or not take the, and you're very good at not taking the societal pressure. You're very good at being like,
I'm bad at it in other things.
Welcome to the Happy Soul Podcast. My name is Melissa, and this is Sammi. We are diving deep into conversations that connect and inspire. Stories of resilience, triumph, and transformation. Stories that take us to the heart of human connection. Please note that opinions of our guests do not necessarily reflect those of this podcast. Please listen with your kindness and an open mind. Each story shared is authentic and vulnerable. Let's embrace our differences with empathy, knowing every voice enriches us. Together, let's cultivate a community of respect and curiosity. Thank you for listening. Now sit back, relax, and prepare to be inspired.
Welcome, Happy Soul Podcast. Anybody? Anybody. I'm going to leave that in
everybody.
Everybody.
Come on in.
We are doing a banter this morning, and we're just going to roll right into the conversation we've been having. We were supposed to have a recording that got canceled last minute, which is totally okay. Life happens. And we have started talking about learning new things, schedule changes, and perimenopause. And we're just going to roll into that and see what happens with this conversation. So you're welcome. Hi, Melissa. You were going to tell me what your new thing is that you've learning. I just interrupted her to do an intro. Now we're rolling back into the conversation.
I'm just laughing because you're like, we talked about perimenopause as like my headphone is off my ear because my ear is hot. And then Sammi Googled it and said it was a sign of perimenopause, which I'm not ready to look at. But anyways, what I was
Okay, I'll tell you that in a second. Go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
No, you go.
I'm learning a new skill right now. And I'm actually, it's been a massive shift for me in the last week. I am learning to sequence my days instead of multitask my days. And I cannot even tell you how much of a change it has made in my life.
What does that mean? Define what you mean by sequence instead of multitask. I think I know, but I want you to tell me more.
Sure. It means that instead of making a list that is, I mean, we've talked before about how I am massively guilty for making giant to-do lists and then not being able to accomplish it all and then feeling bad at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. So instead of that, I'm making shorter lists, and instead of just like rushing my body through my day to get through as much of the list as possible, and like my body is in like waitress mode, and we both know what that's like. You're like doing multiple things at the same time and you're in a bit of a rhythm, but you're rushing. And instead of doing that, I have changed to sequencing, which means I make a list and it's like each task is in a loop. So like I'm doing one thing at a time. I'm not doing four things at once. I'm not going through my day going, I'm going to empty the dishwasher, flip the laundry. While the laundry is going, I'm going to go do this, and then I'm going to go do that, and then I'm going to go do this. I thought that was the way to get the most amount of things done possible and to get the most out of my time. And I am learning, at least for me, that I was wrong, because I was going through my days and I was panicked and rushed and I was forgetting things and screwing up all over the place. Like, putting it back to waitress, I was forgetting drinks all over the place. and I didn't feel good. I didn't feel good about any of my roles, and I needed a change. And so I have started this new thing and it's been incredible. I feel regulated in my body, which makes my home feel regulated, which means my kids get a regulated mom. And it's given me the gift of spending more time with my children. Like, I am able to sit down with them and cook with them and play games with them. I almost feel emotional saying this because I was searching for that time. Like, I got to carve out this time and I feel like I'm just wasting everything. Like, I feel like I'm rushing and wasting, and they're, they come in and mom, can I? And I'm like, just a minute. Like they come in as I'm like, my brain is going dishwasher, washing machine, laundry, phone call, text message, email, this social media thing. This is all the stuff in my brain. And then they come into the room and say, hey mom. And I'm like, what? I mean, yes, dear. Because I'm like, got all these open tabs going on. And so now what I'm experimenting to go to Pia. I'm experimenting with having them be one loop at a time. And so when they come in and I have an open loop, then I say, I'm just going to finish this and then you'll have my full attention. And it's actually true. They actually do have my full attention because I've actually closed the loop, not left it kind of open. If that makes any sense. I kind of went on a bit of a...
So like if you're in the middle of doing the dishwasher, for example, and they come in, you'd be like, just let me finish the dishwasher and then I will come and we'll be right there. Is that kind of what you mean? Or you mean like you will just stop mid dishwasher and go? Like what would that look like? What do you mean?
Well, you know what? Honestly, that hasn't happened yet because I've put the dishwasher, it's the other way around. I'm like, that hole to do that dishwasher, that's later. Right now, I'm all done. And then I give them, 10 minutes of my totally uninterrupted time. We play a game, all of the things. They go do their thing. And then maybe they help me unload the dishwasher. We're doing it together. Nobody's interrupting each other because we're doing it together. Mm-hmm. Or I'm doing it on my own, but they feel they're not interrupting as much because they've had my time. And does that make any sense?
Yeah, it does. I'm just trying to figure out what that looks like in your house because I like that you said, like at the beginning you said, this is working for me. Because I know like for me in our house, like that, like I know like I will do the like throw the laundry and do the dishwasher kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But then like if my kids come and they say like, can I do that? Can we whatever? Then I will say, I'm just literally like if I'm in the middle of washing the dishes or cooking something, it's like, I'm just going to finish this piece. Like just the other day I was cooking a bunch of food for some people. And I was like, I'm just going to put the muffins in the oven. And as soon as I have the muffins in the oven, we are going to do exactly what you want to do. And then I sit down and we play the game and we do the coloring or whatever it is for like 20 minutes because the muffins take 25 minutes to cook. And then the timer goes off and they like, I don't find that I have a lot of those interruptions that are, I mean, they happen. Don't get me wrong. Kids are kids. They interrupt you. But I don't have that same brain battle that you're talking about. And so like, it's just interesting hearing. I like that you said this is what works for me because like everybody's house will work differently for different people, right? So I was just curious as to what that would look like for you, like because there will be times where you are literally in the middle of the scheduled task and they will interrupt. And so what does it look like if you are in the middle of the scheduled task that you've sequenced for in that moment and they do the interruption?
Yeah, I think my best answer is it doesn't look panicked, and.
So the emotion behind it is changing versus the actual action. Yes,
exactly. It's not this like, just a minute. I just have to do this. I'm not trying to convince them to wait. I'm not expressing that in a panicked way. And they know that they will actually get my full attention after. Like what you just described, your children, they get that full attention when you say that. Where for me, I was just operating on a very high strung dysregulated kind of way, and it meant that when I said I would give them my attention, they really only were getting 80% of it in that minute because my brain was still going, but I still have to empty this dishwasher because I would stop in the middle of the task. Like, oh, I feel bad. I should have just given them my attention. And then I'd go over there and then dishwasher's still open and that tab is still open. So I'm giving her my attention or him my attention. And my brain is still kind of over here. So a lot of it for me has been slowing down and just recognizing that I'm not going to get as many things done in this 1 hour time block as maybe I would have before. And I thought that it was going to be, I don't know if I'm making any sense. I thought I'd get less done. I thought I'd have less time. And the gift that this has given me is like, we are leaving the house for school a good 30 minutes earlier now. Like I was always late. Not always. I was often late. I was often running behind, and every time we leave the house, it was like, go, 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 get in the car, put on your seatbelt, go, get your bag, you forgot this, da, 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 da. And my body is just like, and so is theirs. And since switching to this kind of sequencing, so what, I don't know if I'm describing it properly. My multitasking morning would be get up. Here's the list of things I need to do this morning. Get them all done as quickly as possible, or you're going to be late. And the mindset is, I'm going to be late. I have to hurry the heck up right now. I have to go. And so like my body is like that. My tone is like that. Everything is like, da, 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 and I have all the tabs open. I would like do part of a job over here and then do part of a job over here and part of a job over here and part of a job over, and I'm 35 minutes late. Now, our school is really like, we have a drop-off window. We don't have like a strict, so, but I was always at the end of that window. And my kids like to be at the start of the window because they have kind of this fun time in the morning when they can be a little bit earlier. Now, I get up in the morning and I have this task. I'm not looking at the whole morning. I'm looking at this part, and I get that part done. And then I move to this part, and then I move to this part. And it's actually gone faster. I'm shocked. I didn't trust it. Like when I started, I was like, no, that's not going to work. And it does. And we leave the house and we're like proud and happy and connected and early. It's unreal how much earlier we are.
So what are like the things that you're putting? Can you walk me through a morning? What does that look like? What does it look like specifically in the morning, those tasks that you have to do to get out the door for the kids?
Well, before it would look like get as much done in the evening as possible so that the morning was clear, and the morning can go smoothly.
That's what it was before?
Yeah.
Okay.
But then this is a really hard thing to describe, and I should almost it's a really hard thing to describe. I'll do my best. Before, it looked like getting as much done as possible in the evening, but feeling rushed about it and guilty and like I'm going to go to bed too late because I was still doing that thing, right? Big block. So what's happening is like it's freeing up my time at night too, because what took me this much time at night and feeling like activated the whole time, like this much, it's taking me this long and I feel so if I look at like what I was doing at night, clean the lunch boxes out, make the lunches, put the lunches in the fridge, water bottles in the fridge, get their clothes organized, lay the clothes out, pack the backpacks, put the outerwear stuff, and get our other kind of like morning routine things ready to go. That's what the evening looked like. Now, the whole time in my head, I'm like, I have to get this done as quickly as possible. I'm exhausted. I'm so tired. I got to get this done because I got to get to bed. And then I'm getting to bed late. I wake up in the morning exhausted. And if I got the things done, it might run somewhat smoothly, but I'm still in my mind, I was still going, I have to rush, I have to go because I can't be late, I can't be late, I can't be late. So the energy is just like very activated, and the kids were feeling it. And when kids feel that kind of energy, they shut down. It doesn't inspire them to move faster. They slow down. It's like this is the irony of it all, right? Like, go faster. And they're like, move your body. Why aren't you moving your body? Like, I want you to move your body.
I just got to interrupt this. I still remember Rory was like 3 years old. And it was a really busy, I can't remember what was going on. I cannot remember, but I was like, I was that in a rush kind of moment, which we all have regardless. And I told him to pick a cup. And I was like, hurry up and pick a cup. And he's standing there moving his hands as fast as he can in front of this pile of cups. And I'm like, yes. Moving your body faster does not equate picking a cup faster. Like just grab a cup, man. And I just remember watching him and that's exactly what you're describing, but in an emotion, right? Not in a physical panic. Yes. Is like when you put that physical or that emotion of panic out there, their bodies might not be doing what his hands were doing, but they're
totally.
But their brains are, and then they can't focus on what they need to do. You're right. Sorry, interrupt. Yes. That's just that visual just came to my head. Of what you're talking about.
Thomas has done that too, where I'm like, hurry up. And then he just starts like running up and down the stairs. I'm like, that's, you're moving your body fast. But so we've had lots of conversations about doing it Don't do it fast, do it efficiently. But now I'm learning a new kind of efficiency, and I'm like I said, I'm mind blown. So go back to my morning. So like if that was my evening, but say I let myself off the hook that evening. Say that evening I was so exhausted, I'm like, I just gotta go to bed and try and get the most amount of sleep possible and get up in the morning, and it's just going to be a hard morning because I didn't get my stuff done, but I'm just too tired. Now that right there,
You're
my
prefacing the morning.
mindset is already going, it's going to be a tough morning.
Mm-hmm.
So I get up, probably didn't sleep fully because in my head, the loops were open, and I went to bed panicked because the loops are all open. I'm going to have to get up. I'm going to have to do this. I'm going to have to do this. I'm going to have to do this. Like, get the morning stuff ready, get the breakfast ready, get the lunches ready. Did I clean out the lunch kits? I don't know if I know where the socks are. Like all the tabs open, which is keeping my brain like in this motion, right? Then when I wake the kids up in the morning, it's with that energy. Whether I like as much as I would try to control it, it was with that energy. So then I'm like getting them up in a rushed way, and my body is in like fast motion. I'm trying to get all of the things ready, but I would be going from, like I said, I'd be going from one to the other. So like if I'm making lunches, for example, I'm downstairs, the kids are upstairs, and I'm making lunches, and I get somebody calling me from upstairs, Mom, I need you up here. And I'm like, oh, I'm like halfway done making the lunch, but I also haven't brought them up their breakfast. So like, okay, I'm gonna stop doing this. I'm gonna bring them up their breakfast, and I'm gonna tell them to stop interrupting me because I have to finish the lunches or you're not gonna have enough lunch. So they go upstairs with the breakfast, and the lunches are half made. I haven't eaten. I haven't fully caffeinated myself. I'm feeling rushed, and then one of them wants to snuggle, and I'm like, yep, okay, let's snuggle because I need to have that connection with you so that I can send you off on your day and you feel connected to me. But like, here's the breakfast and the lunch is half done, and I'm feeling like, oh my God, I don't know where the socks are. So like you see where I'm going with my energy?
Mm-hmm.
So last week I had 2 days. I tried it 2 different ways. One night I had a very important meeting the next day. I knew I would need to be out the door very early. And for that, I knew I needed to get everything ready, but I sequenced it and I felt so calm, and I looked at my phone. I was done everything that I needed to do. And I looked at my phone, and it was about an hour and a half earlier than I anticipated being finished. And I was like, what is this magic? What just happened? Because I didn't have in my head lunches, water bottles, food, clothes, outerwear, backpacks. I just had lunches. Did the lunches, done the lunches, water bottles, done the water bottles. And I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it. Anyway, so I went to bed, had a really good sleep. We had a really good morning, and I was feeling really proud. That night, I was exhausted. And I thought, you know what? I'll let myself go to sleep. But instead of going to sleep and feeling like, I went to sleep and went, I trust myself. This morning worked great. I can do this. So I went to bed. I had an amazing sleep. I got up the next day having not done anything. Like, I hadn't laid out the clothes. I hadn't done the lunches. Nothing. I did all of those things like I said, in order, and had time for snuggles, and kept my body completely like, whew. It was calm. There was calm music playing. We were chill. We were laughing. Everything got done, and we were out the door half an hour early. And I was like, I dropped the kids off, and I was like, I went to the car wash. I was like,
so it doesn't sound to me like you're actually changing your physical habit. You're changing your mental habit around your physical habits.
Yes, almost. Yes. Except for finishing one task at a time. Right? Where before I would half do the lunch, half do the breakfast, half do the clothes, half do that. And then they're all going, and I'm toggling between them all. Remember when we talked to Andy Campbell about like when you're multitasking, you're not actually multitasking, you're toggling quickly.
Yeah.
So I was like, toggle, 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 toggle. I'm not doing that anymore.
Yeah.
I'm finishing it. That loop is closed. I take it, and that's where, okay, so the physical job is doing the physical job in its entirety, done. The mental job is taking a breath afterwards and in my head going, that part is done. Now I'm moving to the next part. Sounds a little bit silly, but holy cow, does it work? Like,
well, it makes sense. Like, and it's so interesting to me listening to this because what you're describing, and I'm not trying to flex here, but what you're describing, I'm like, I think that's what I do. But we don't actually know if what we do is what someone else does,
Yeah.
like without like, unless you could like be in their
Watching.
brain.
I know.
Right? Like, I'm like, I want to be in your brain to know if I think I'm as calm as I think I am, or if, because we all have our mornings, right? Like, no matter how good you are at that kind of stuff. Like even this morning, which Wednesdays are always my morning because like Thursday, my kids only have school on Wednesdays and Thursdays. And Wednesdays are, like I was just saying before, like we have a recording in the morning and then I have clients back to back, and it's just a lot of, like I said to AJ, I was like, it's not the busyness that bothers me, it's the how much back and forth I have to do in the car and time that is the problem. And so I end up with the kids being like, it's just this morning, I need you to rush, like I just need you to focus. And I don't usually get angry or anything, but I am reminding them like where we need to focus this morning. And like we're always on time. We're like, again, we have a window too. We don't have like a specific time. So I have flexibility in that, but and then every other day is more chill, but I don't have as much rush to do like the other days of the week. But
Right.
What was I going to say?
You were talking about being like wishing you could kind of like see inside somebody else's brain to like see, is it the same?
Oh, but that's what I was trying to say. It's like my morning when I have my Wednesday mornings where I am feeling more rushed. Like I would love to be able to be in your brain and be like, is my brain functioning in the rushed sense that your brain is functioning in? Or is your brain now functioning in the same sense that mine functions in those? Do you know what I mean? Like I would love to know if
it's interesting, right?
Yeah. Like, do you know? Yeah.
Yes, I do. I know exactly what you're talking about. So here's the next part. I'm pretty sure I have ADHD. And the reason I sound like I'm holding off on that a little bit is because like I don't want to just be out here diagnosing myself or saying something because it's been talked about a lot. Like people are talking a lot about, let me put that back on now that my ear is feeling better. People are talking a lot about getting diagnosed with ADHD as a woman, as an adult woman, and it's happening a lot, and it's becoming a bit of a, I don't want it to sound like I'm
jumping on the bus.
Yeah, or like buzzwording, or I'm not trying to do that. I'm just noticing that, like, so my sister was diagnosed with ADHD. Now we're not genetically, we're step sisters. So we don't have genetic similarities. No, we're not genetically connected. That's what I'm saying.
Isn't your dad her dad?
Yeah, but he adopted me.
Oh, right.
Yeah. No, it happens all the time.
I
People
knew
that
this.
were at my parents' wedding are like, "Oh, you look like your dad." I'm like, "Thanks." Thanks. Anyways, so, and we are a really great blended family. So there's not a genetic component, is what I'm saying, to me and my sister are both having it. She was diagnosed with inattentive ADHD. So now it's not like ADD, ADHD. It's inattentive and hyperactive and combined. My son has combined. So I'm learning about ADHD, and I've been learning about it. And there has been a couple of times where I like call my sister and I'm like, because she came to me and she's like, so now that I've been diagnosed, I'm seeing some things in you, and I'm, I think this is a possibility. And I'm like, I was like, no, I don't think so. No, I don't think so. And then Doug came to me and he's like, I think you have ADD. Like, I think, and I'm like, kind of defensive, kind of like, But I started looking into it and I started reading about it. And I started realizing that, like, talk about trying to be inside somebody else's brain. I would love to know how your brain operates, because maybe all the tabs being open is how I naturally operate, and needing to really focus in and do the work to finish one off so that my brain can actually shut it off, because my brain does not shut it off. So if I have all of these open tabs, my brain doesn't shut them off. I am
Yeah.
thinking about them all, and they all come at me, and I feel like shit. Like I just feel like I am failing at them all equally. And so I'm learning to close the tabs, and I don't know.
Yeah. I was gonna say sometimes I wonder, like, because there's been so many for years. Like, what's that book? The first book I heard of when I was like a teenager. It's like men are like waffles and women are like spaghetti, right? And it's like, have you
Never
heard
heard of
that
that
before? Oh man,
No.
I remember reading that as a teenager. It's men think compartmentalized. Like each square of a waffle is a thought process, right? Like
Mhm.
this square is for really my wife, and this square is for my
Yeah.
kids, and this square is for the car, and this square
Mhm.
is for the house, and this square is for work, and so on and
Yeah.
so forth. And the squares of a waffle. Whereas women are like they're all the spaghetti noodles doing all the things.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so I do think that is a natural component of the way that our
Yes.
brains function. But it's like,
Yes.
I think the difference is as a woman, if we're using this, and this isn't across the board. So if you don't come at me being like, my brain's more like a waffle and I'm a woman, that's just chill out for a sec. Let's just focus on this. And again, men can have spaghetti brains and women can have, it's not just general, it's just a funny saying. Okay. But like for simplicity analogy's sake, if you're a woman and you have a spaghetti brain, can you follow the same spaghetti noodle? Even if you have quick stops at the other noodles along the way, can you still follow that same spaghetti noodle to the end, even through the stops? Or do you get through a spaghetti noodle and change the noodles constantly you're never finishing one? So like they might all be there. So because like what I'm saying is like all the tabs open. I feel like most women would say all the tabs are open in their brain all the time. But I don't think all the tabs being open is the precursor for ADHD. It's can you focus on a tab and go to the other tabs but still come back to that tab in the same process? Do you know what I mean? Like when you're telling a story, can you, even if you get distracted partway through the story, can you actually still finish up the story? Or are you now tangenting off on each story and you completely forgot where you started? Do you know what I mean? And I think that's the same with the task habit is you can be making a lunch, and let's say your lunch includes making a quesadilla, so something has to cook. So you finished everything you can in that lunch, but your quesadilla is still cooking. Are you able to then go fill the water bottles while the quesadilla is cooking and still immediately come back and focus on that quesadilla and cook it and finish your lunches entirely? Or do the water bottles distract you entirely and now you've forgotten about the lunch and you've maybe half done a water bottle, but then that water bottle reminded you of this and you completely forget along the way. So like it's like you can have them all open, but where does your focus and your energy and emotion go versus completion? I think that's the difference.
Do you know what I'm going to add one more component into that? Because I think we're a pretty good litmus test between you and I would actually love to have more conversation about ADHD and stuff like I would love to have more conversation about that. But here's where I think another component lies is your nervous system in between those things. I think you and I could have that same morning, water bottles, quesadilla cooking, all of that stuff. I might not forget about the quesadilla, but when I'm my palms are sweating just thinking about this. I'm not going to forget about the quesadilla. I'm going to feel like last week, like I'm trying to learn something new. I would go about that the same way you do, feeling like I've got it under control, but it's actually taking me longer because my nervous system in between the toggle is freaking out. Because when I'm filling up the water bottle, I'm like, come on. I got a quesadilla. Mom, what? Like I'm like I'm not just like fill the water, do the. Now I would, but I'm working toward that. I should say it's going to take a hell of a lot more time than a week.
So that's like, what I was saying. Like it's about the emotion between the jumps versus the actual jump itself.
Nervous system thing. Yes, I think it's a nervous system thing. I think it's an active nervous system. I had another good test. Last week I had...
But then, okay, sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, but then that makes me wonder, is it actually ADHD or is it not you specifically, but in general? Or is it that your nervous system is running on survival mode and panic mode? And if you can fix your nervous system, you actually would no longer be diagnosed with ADHD.
I don't know, but I'm about to find out.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, well,
Sorry.
let's chat. Let's keep this conversation going in a year because
This is something that I wonder all
this
the
is the
time
work I'm doing.
with all the kids who are diagnosed with ADHD and stuff.
Yep.
And again, there is like pretty much with all of the emotional diagnoses that are out there. I think and this isn't to undermine them or dismiss them, and I'm not trying to offend anybody. I'm not saying this to be fact. This is something I am curious and I wonder all the time. Is how many of the people, especially I'm speaking specifically of children right now, that are diagnosed with ADHD, it's not actually that they have ADHD, it's that their nervous system is overrun,
Overloaded.
whether it's too much screen time or too much busyness, not enough downtime, or their parents are dysregulated, so therefore they're dysregulated. Like, how many kids are diagnosed, and actually if their nervous system was there was some ability to help fix and calm their nervous system, their diagnosis would actually go away. Like, how much, and how much of it is like, doesn't matter how good your nervous system is, you got ADHD.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
totally.
Like, how much of it is that?
I think there's lots of elements to that. And speaking of like a parent of a child who's been diagnosed with ADHD, and I have family members that have been diagnosed with ADHD. I think it's a big combination between all of those things, and I think therein lies the work. You can have a diagnosis of ADD, ADHD. You can take the meds and just carry on.
Yeah.
Or you can do some serious work around executive functioning skills, because really they're saying ADHD has been mislabeled. It shouldn't be called that. It's about executive functioning skills. That's what it is about. Now, somebody who in fact really does have ADHD has to do a lot of work to grow those executive functioning skills, and it just doesn't come as naturally as it would to a neurotypical person, period. That is my understanding of it. Now, please, if you're listening and you've got an opinion about this, please reach out to us, because this is like, I'm not talking from a very educated standpoint here. I'm just talking from, I have been doing a lot of learning about executive functioning skills with in the perspective of my child and children, but my child that's been diagnosed, I'm trying to learn, how can I support him in learning these executive functioning skills? And now what I'm learning is I actually really need to learn them myself too, because I'm a picture of somebody who's been stuck in survival mode for a very long time. And I do have to pull myself out of that and learn these skills. And I don't even know what my point was there.
No, you were just, well, I kind of interrupted you, and I was going to ask if what you're saying now is what you were going to say, because you're saying I'm learning this. You didn't say I'm good at it. I'm learning how to reset my nervous system. And then I interrupted you to say the thing about the nervous system versus diagnosis. Yeah. And then is this what you were trying to say though? Is that that you're learning that?
It's about it's nervous system work and executive functioning skills. Yeah. That's what it is. And I really think that this is a skill that it just may come easier to somebody who is neurotypical, and is harder for somebody who has ADHD, diagnosed or not. That doesn't make it impossible. It just makes it harder. It means it just doesn't come naturally to us. Yeah. So it means we have to put more work into learning those skills, and more practice and structure into keeping those skills, because they're not just going to come, like I have to chart out my morning. Like I said, this is new to me. This is new work. So far, so good. Like so far, this feels great. And I'm not saying that this is, oh, there you go, I've got the secret and I'm good to go now. I'm saying like, this is the work I'm doing. And I think, it seems to really be working. Like, I even said to my son going to school, I was like, wow, I'm really proud of our morning. How do you feel? And he was like, great. I'm like, me too, man. Like, this is just, and maybe, like I said, maybe this is exactly how your mornings work. And it's new to me and I'm loving it. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, I feel really good about it.
I mean, I would say I can relate in the sense of like the emotional like vibe of it, like, because like when I have a busy Wednesday morning, I know that I don't know, I can't honestly admit to what my thought process is the night before, but I know there is a thought process of I have to like get ready tomorrow, like I have to be busy. And I know in the morning, I'm on Wednesday mornings, I'm typically more like, hey guys, like we gotta get going. And I definitely feel more irritated, and I do have to take more moments to be like, it's okay. It's okay. You've got lots of time. And whereas like Thursday mornings, I still have to get them to school to the same day or the same time, but there's nothing on my part I'm rushing to. And so as much as I'm still like in the same process, I don't have the emotion for myself behind it. So it's less, there's less of that. And so I know it is, I can relate to that. Like if I let myself chill, the same things can get accomplished without my intensity behind them. So I know that I can relate to that in a different sense, but yeah. I want to ask you, I'm going to ask you about this now. What do you think helped you notice the emotion behind it and helps you make that shift?
Can you say that again?
Like what helped you notice that it was your emotion and thought process driving the lack of activity, if you will? And what helps you calm that emotion?
I'm going to tell you a little secret and you're going to hate it. I've been nervous to tell you about this. I have a dirty little secret. You ready?
Yeah.
I have a dirty little secret.
I'll make you my dirty little secret.
Totally.
Don't
it's a little bit embarrassing.
Anyone or you'll be just another regret.
I love it.
You're welcome.
Okay. So, okay. So I had a day about a week and a half ago. I had a full day to myself. And I had a lot to do. I could not get off the couch. People call it task paralysis. I guess that's a name for this feeling of like, I have so much to do. I don't know where to start. The tabs were all open and I was freaking out. And not freaking out. If you came into my house and looked at me, you'd be like, what is going on? I was literally on the couch and I was like, I can't move. I'm doom scrolling. And then I'd get up and be like, I have to do something. I have to be productive. I have so much to do. So anybody listening is going to be like, yeah, you think you have ADHD? No shit. So I open my dishwasher and it stinks. And I'm so frustrated that the dishwasher stinks.
Stinks because it's clean and you have left it for too long, or stinks because it's dirty and it's been sitting for too long?
No, stinks
just out of
like
curiosity.
like mechanically, like
okay,
like there's nothing in it and it's stinky. And I'm like, oh, and the dishes are coming out stinky. I know there's something stuck in this dishwasher. I don't know what it is, but like I'm really frustrated. So like I get all my little brushes out and I like go to town on this dishwasher. Like I took it apart. Okay. I took it apart. I took all the stuff out. I was like, I had a screwdriver. Like I was I found disgusting shit in my dishwasher. Let me tell you, I was so grossed out. I was like,
I've done that before. No judgment.
Oh, when you start like peeling back the
I
layers
did it once on a house we moved into, and I hadn't cleaned the dishwasher since we moved in, and I am much more prone to cleaning dishwashers now. Let me tell you.
Oh my
Sorry,
God. Like once you start you get a screwdriver and a dishwasher and you start taking things apart and you look what's underneath there. Ugh. So I did that and then I stopped and I sat back down on the couch and I thought that would like propel me into motion, where normally it would propel me into motion and I would just start, and it didn't. And I sat back down on the couch and I was like, I don't know what to do. And I looked at the clock and I was like, oh my gosh, how is it this time? I've wasted my whole day like doom scrolling and doing nothing except scrubbing a stupid dishwasher, and I have so much to do. What am I gonna do? So here comes the dirty little secret. I open up ChatGPT.
Oh, it's a ChatGPT thing. Okay.
And I say, I think I have ADHD. I'm stuck on the couch. I have okay, so rewind. Normally, if I felt I was in that situation, I know. No, wait for it.
Keep going.
So normally in that situation, I would call either Chantel or my sister, and I would talk on the phone and move my body. And I would text pictures, before and after pictures of the room that I was working on, because it makes me feel good when I can see a dirty room and then a clean room with pictures beside each other. Makes me feel very good about myself. And sending that picture to somebody makes me feel really good about myself. So I'm like, but I didn't I didn't really want, I knew like they were busy, and I also just didn't feel like it. I felt like I didn't feel like talking to anybody. I just wanted to go. And so I open up ChatGPT and I say, I think I have ADHD. I am stuck on the couch. I have this giant list of things to do. I want to send a picture of this room before and after for accountability. I don't know how to get out of this right now. And ChatGPT, I call her Jenny. She answers me. I know it's just a machine, but now I'm going to precursor this by saying, I know that there's an environmental impact to ChatGPT, and I know it's not always great. And so I have been finding ways to...
I don't even know how to access ChatGPT.
I know the whole week, like the whole time, I'm like, every time I open up ChatGPT, I'm like, Sammy thinks I'm an idiot right now.
Know how to access it. Keep going. Sorry.
Anyways, it's just an app on my phone. It's just an app.
Oh, okay.
That's it. It looks like a text thread.
Okay.
But every time I access it, I'm like consciously, like I consciously do something that's going to save water in my house. Like I consciously like don't like, anyway, I've just found ways to conserve water in my house every time that I open it. That's like my brain thing. I'm like, if I'm going to do this, then I have to do this to combat it. So I have been thinking about it just so that I'm not just...
Go ahead. Keep going with your story. ChatGPT,
I know.
What does Jenny say back?
So Jenny says, totally normal. Let me walk you through this. And starts talking about this sequencing thing. And I'm like, what is sequencing? And so I start reading about it and learning about it. And it like looked at the room and it said, okay, this isn't a disaster. This isn't a big deal. Let's break this up into like 5-minute segments. Start a timer, do this. Start a timer, do that. And it picked out some like visual clutter that I wouldn't have even thought of that made a massive difference. And I just kept going. And like, I was like, whoa. So it just kind of cracked open this new learning thing for me, that it just cracked something new open for me. So then I just kind of went on this path of like starting to learn about sequencing instead of multitasking. And if I feel stuck, I will go to Jenny and say, help me break this up. And it's amazing.
Well, that's good. I'm glad it's working for you.
Judge away, Sammy.
No, I'm not judging. I'm not judging.
Yes, you are. I can see it in your face.
I'm not judging your use of it. I'm judging not you, but like the...
Okay, wait. I have something else.
Okay, wait.
Can I say something else before you say that? Because it might shift what you're about to say.
Okay.
It might not. But anyway, I know you and I've talked about how like there has to be balance here. There is an environmental impact to ChatGPT. We know that now. We also know that if we rely on technology, it will, like, we got to be able to think for ourselves as well and not just completely rely on technology. We know this. Now, here's a thought I had last week. While I'm like in the middle of learning these things and experimenting, and the experiment's going really well, I have this thought. In the 1950s, women's rights there wasn't equality. We couldn't access visas, credit cards. We didn't have equal access to work. And we had a box that we belonged in as women. And the box was cook, clean, stay in your white picket fence house with your circle skirt, and this is your role. That's your role. Yeah, we had to fight for equal rights. And then the toggle flipped over, and what's gone on now is, now I'm talking about I'm talking about typical, stereotypical roles. I'm talking about, I'm talking about the stereotypical roles. I'm not saying that there isn't fluidity here. I'm just talking generalizing here. We fought very hard for women to have the right to work outside the home, to vote, to equal access to banking, equal access to supporting ourselves. And what's happened is we've opened up this, we can be career women now, but then there's still this pull and expectation for us to also be at home. And there's this constant stress of like needing to do it all. Now we're career women and we're home women. And unless we have found ourselves a husband who is going to take on some of that house stuff,
Because mostly
there was a
people are
box.
not teaching the men to also do house stuff.
Right.
Keep going.
So we had boxes. The man would go to work 9 to 5 and he would come home with his briefcase over the white picket fence and that was his job and provide for the family. And the woman was in this box. And we needed to fight to open up those boxes. But what happened was now we've taught our women that we can do it all. And some of our men have caught on. Some of our men have not caught on. But women have this massive pressure to do everything. We feel bad if we're at home because we're not being career women. We feel bad if we're career women because we're not being at home. And we feel like we're failing at it all. Now here is where my ChatGPT thing comes in. I think that this is a way to use a technology. Now, it needs to be mindful, okay? We need to keep our brains active and thinking for ourselves. We need to make sure that we are combating the environmental impact of this. Those things are there. I think that there's an evolution happening here because what's happened with roles in women is we have to toggle between a lot of things. There's a lot for us to do. And sometimes we need help to do that. So if we can access a technology that will help us learn how to keep our nervous system intact. I don't know if I'm describing this properly. I don't know if I'm like saying it how it looks in my head, but what I'm trying to say is our role has changed a lot. But where is the support to help us with that role being changed so much? And sometimes that can come in a supportive partner. Sometimes that can come in a supportive community, and sometimes it can come from technology. That's what I'm saying. There has to be support for the fact that now, as a whole, we are expected to do a lot more, and we have the right to be able to do a lot more and to choose what we're going to do, and that is beautiful and wonderful. But we have to be able to regulate our nervous system between those things, whether we have chosen to stay at home with our families, to be career women, or somewhere in between. Something needs to support that. Mm-hmm. And our bodies need to learn how to regulate that, if that makes any sense, right? Yeah. Like when we were in the box, our nervous system was also in that box. And now the box is this big and our nervous system is like, whew. So we have to shift with that. Yeah. Does that make any sense?
It kind of relates to what I was saying I was judging.
Okay.
What I was saying I was judging is sort of that. And it's our failure in society to help people in that regard. But also like that this is going to sound like I'm attacking you, but I'm not trying to. But like that we internalize that reaching out for help from ChatGPT is any different than reaching out for help from a human being.
Right.
We seem to think that we have this need to do it all. So if I ask no humans for help, I am doing it myself and I can do it. And therefore getting help from a AI bot is better. And I'm not, but that's a societal thing that we have taught people. Like, I don't want other people to know that I'm failing. So I'll just let ChatGPT know that I'm failing and they'll help me through this. Instead of like this is where society has failed, is because we've made it seem like it's not okay for us to let other humans know that we need help.
Right.
Whether that's in our emotions or in our physical needs or in our whatever, like that's the part that makes me sad, is that there are not just you reaching out to ChatGPT in that moment, but that there are no
like we're getting further into an individualistic kind of society.
Yeah, like there's kids out there who are forming relationships with AI bots because they don't want to have a real relationship with a person because it's safer with an AI bot. And I'm like, yeah, but like that's
the danger.
That's the danger. And it and I'm not saying this is you, but like that step of choosing AI over a person is part of the step towards that. Now it's kind of like with drugs, right? You can smoke weed and be fine and never go the other
Yeah.
way, or you can smoke
Yeah.
weed and then you can try and gateway,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's an end all be all, and that everybody who uses ChatGPT is gonna fall for an AI bot. I'm just saying like it's one of those things that I think we have failed in society of not making this open acceptance and not learning how to actually dialogue with each other and listen to each other and ask questions and be curious and all of those things, because those are the things that are going to help us have more conversations and feel more safe. Like, and I feel like I'm saying these things and it sounds like I'm just like, I'm so great. I have my failures.
I want to jump in. You know what I think? I think as in any other part of life, there's a balance here. And the balance is being mindful. Like I joke around about calling ChatGPT Jenny, but I know that this is not a real person. And I think it's just, like I said, now we have this big box. We have to evolve to be able to be in that big box and not feel like shit about it and not feel stressed out about it.
Yeah.
Okay. So part of that is going to be community support, partner support, and now we have this other thing that can also support us. That doesn't mean that other thing takes over for community or family support or partner support. It means it's also there to help. And I think the big thing with things like this, like AI, is to use it as a tool but not have it be a crutch. So that would be the same, for example, as me always needing to call somebody to clean my house. That person is a crutch. And then I'm becoming a bit of a burden on that person.
Well, it depends. Are you paying that person or are you just
No, I
mean
mean like
slave work?
No, I mean like I'm saying like if I need to clean my house, I'm not saying it like getting somebody to clean my house for me. I'm saying if I need to call Chantel, I'm going to call her out because she's been on the podcast and she's fine if I use her name. If I need to call Chantel or my sister, every time I need to clean the house because I'm freaking out, I'm not healing my nervous system. I'm using them as support, yes, but I'm also using them as a crutch. And what kind of pressure does that put them under? Because they have their own lives and their own big box to fit in. So like, how can we support each other and celebrate each other's wins without using that person as a crutch, but also using, you know, like our support network? And it's just a balance. It's just for me personally, like to personalize this, it's bringing in a tool that can help regulate my nervous system and help me learn in the moment to regulate and to work on my executive functioning skills without having to like freak out and call somebody.
Yeah.
But then also to call that person and say, hey, I had a big win today. How was your day?
Yeah.
How can I support you? This is how you can support me. We're still talking to each other. I'm not closing myself into a box and it's just me and AI. I think it's important to keep. AI doesn't replace anybody. AI is a tool to support this busy life that we have now. It's what's happened in our world is now, however you choose to live your life is a lot busier now. It's a lot faster. There's a lot more in our space. And you'd have to just move to the bush to get away from it. It just is. It just is faster. And that's going to be easier for a neurotypical person than it is for a neurodivergent person. So a neurodivergent person is going to need more support, is going to need more help to adjust to that big box, to that big busy life, to all of the things coming, all of the tabs being open. I think it's just, I think it's definitely something to be mindful of. I think it's definitely something to be careful of and to go like, this is still a machine and I can still have an opinion different than that machine. And this is just something, it's a tool. It's like using a calculator with math and our teacher's saying you're not going to have a calculator in your pocket when you're older.
Yeah.
They were a little wrong about that.
No, they were wrong about that. This is that thing that it's my opinions get my foot in my mouth sometimes because I know that I speak.
Your
but like
not in your mouth.
With the I like how much I hate on ChatGPT and AI and stuff is sometimes for myself is I will say these things and I feel these strong opinions, but it doesn't leave a lot of space for the can't think of the word I'm thinking of right now, but those small examples of where it is helpful. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't leave space for that when I voice these strong opinions,
Mm-hmm.
because you were exactly right. It is okay to have those tools. And it reminds me, you telling me that as soon as you said I have a dirty little secret, I was like, oh, I've had this conversation before. When I was working as a personal trainer, there was this diet out there that was very, in my opinion, it was a very hurtful diet. It was very low calories. It required all this medical intervention. It was not good. And I feel like it's the same as a lot of diets. I can't even remember what it was called, but Doctor something. You got like vitamin B
Is it
shots.
Atkins?
No, it was like I can't remember, but you got like these vitamin B shots every few weeks, and the calorie was like you had like a 500 calorie count per day for like.
Oh.
Anyways, all I remember is I had these very strong opinions about this diet, and I was talking about it, blah 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 blah. And I remember this conversation that one of my clients came to me, and it was like almost like what you just said of like, I have this dirty little secret. And she said it the same way, except there was a lot of tears. And I felt awful afterwards. And so she came to me, she had lost, and not that it's all about weight loss, but that was her goal. Mm-hmm. She had lost a ton of weight. She was happy. She was moving great. She was feeling great, all of these things. And her dirty little secret was that she had been using this diet that I had spoken so terribly about. But the thing is I was speaking on, what is that quote that they say from, he's just not that into you, the rule, not the exception. Do you know what I mean? There's the rule and there's the exception.
Yeah.
And the rule is generally using, in this case, using AI and stuff like that. If you can't find that limit, using drugs, using whatever, using a strong diet can lead you down a really shitty path. Mm-hmm. But the exception is that it's just a tool that helps you find the right path in a healthy manner. And so for this client specifically, it helped her kickstart that weight loss journey. She lost a bunch of weight. She got healthy. And then she followed through and continued to learn healthy habits and went back. After she finished the program, she went all the way through and continued on with those healthy habits and continued to maintain that healthy body image. I don't just mean weight, body image, healthy mobility, everything. She maintained that for years. And I think still is.
There it is.
And that's where my strong opinions leave me. And I don't leave space for that exception, but it does exist in all areas. There is always that exception of that thing that I get grumpy about having an actual value to people that learn how to use it right. And often it's that the people that the thing that I'm ranting about is the group of people who don't follow it all the way through.
Yes, I was just going to say
they use it to a point.
That's the ticket right there. And I actually would like to switch that. Let's switch exception with rule. And let's say the exception is the person that goes extreme and doesn't follow through. And the rule is, you know what I mean? Because I do think that that's the real ticket. The real ticket is, for example, let's just take my week with ChatGPT. The rule is I'm going to take something and I'm going to learn something from it, and I'm going to try to improve my life and heal my nervous system and work on my executive functioning skills. That's work I'm doing. ChatGPT is not doing that work for me. It's prompting me. It's encouraging me. It's not doing the work. It's just helping me realize that I'm on the right path. So the stuff that I'm doing in between, I think that's the difference. I'm not relying on it. I'm using it. Yeah. I think that's the difference. And like I said, like, let's talk a year from now. And let's talk about it a year from now when, maybe I'll be able to learn these skills without having to go, okay, let's schedule out the day. Let's plug this in. Do you know what I mean? Like the proof will be in that when I can learn to do that on my own without using the tool, and to be able to release the tool and learning the right moments to use the tool. That's going to be the real, that's going to be the real proof. And I
think that's exactly what you're saying is like you're using a tool. And what? I'm going to call it a crutch just for example's sake, not because it is, but like it's like when you have an injury and
Yes.
you use a crutch
Mhm.
or brace or whatever.
Mhm.
And the point of the brace or the crutch is for a period of time to help your body recover. And it is to learn to let go of it eventually.
Yeah.
But often we become reliant on it, and it is all that we ever use. And I think it's the same thing with ChatGPT. Is like it's meant to be a tool or a crutch or whatever, to brace, to help move things forward. But we are falling into this place where it is all and all be all. It is, why would I write the paper when I can let ChatGPT do it for me? Why would I write the description of the episode when I can let ChatGPT for it? Why would I write my own post when I can let ChatGPT do it for me? Now, don't get me wrong. There's value in having it help you if you can't find the right words. But if it's doing it all for you, it's not. It's not helping you. It's abetting you, aiding and abetting. It's not aiding you anymore. It's not helping you.
Yeah,
and
like your mind has to be.
Your mind's not working.
Your mind has to be working more than that. It's got to be helping you, not the other way around.
Yeah.
You got to keep the balance. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a good way for thinking of all the things,
right?
that I have strong opinions of.
I said to my therapist this week, I said, I'm really proud of my week. I'm really proud of what I've been able to accomplish and how I've been able to accomplish it. And the trick is not that ChatGPT is becoming my therapist. It's a tool I'm using between therapy.
Unless you were talking to Jenny when you had this conversation.
No, my actual therapist.
I know.
My human therapist. I think that the danger is when you replace, like the danger would be like if I came to you and I said I've fired my therapist and I'm on ChatGPT only, I'd be like, ooh, what? But to use it in between, like I said to him, like it's caught me in moments sometimes where I'm like, ooh, now that's interesting. And it's given me a lot of pause and consideration, and it's kind of like cracked open some things for me, like I'm journaling more, and that's using my brain. That's coming from my brain. It's just that I've been prompted. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It makes me think of you talking about like the sequencing thing. Makes me think of this thing I saw the Birds Papaya post about one time, and she said like she would get overwhelmed with the tasks that needed to be done in her house. And one day, I don't know where she got the idea from. Maybe she did the same thing. I have no idea. But one day she decided to time each of her tasks. So it was like she'd set a timer, she'd empty the dishwasher. She'd set a timer, she'd fold the load of laundry. She'd set a timer, she'd clean the bathroom. And when she could see how long each of these tasks took, she realized that she was making them a bigger deal than they were, because like the dishwasher actually only took her 2 minutes. Yeah. And she has 2 minutes all the time. And she could be like, oh, I have 2 minutes, I'll empty the dishwasher. Or I have 5 minutes, oh, I'll fold, whatever. I don't remember what the timing was. But it makes me think of that, because it's like, and sometimes when I'm like, oh, I don't have time for this, I'm like, it's literally 2 minutes. Like you do. And it as soon as you remind yourself of that, it literally chills yourself right back out. Like, I do have the time for this. It's okay.
See, and maybe that's the difference between your brain and my brain. My brain would have a harder time coming to that thought on my own, like coming to the thought, like, it's fine. It's fine. It would take me a lot more trying to convince myself that it's fine. And that's that's the skill I'm trying to learn right now, is to just go, finish this.
Yeah.
You're okay. You got it. Like, that would take me a lot more. And I'm just recognizing like the kind of energy that was putting out, and the kind of energy that I was putting out into my home and planting in my home, and what that meant for my kids and my relationships around me. Like, I'm really hopeful right now. I'm really hopeful right now that this kind of work is going to be really important for me. Yeah. So I want to share something else with you, but go ahead.
I was just going to say, I like how we said at the beginning of this, we were talking about perimenopause, but I didn't realize we were going to go this deep into this, but I like this.
Me either.
What I always wonder, and this sounds like bad, but I always wonder, like, when people's brains function these ways, are we born with our brain functioning these ways in some degree? Or is it caused by like that nature versus nurture, right? Like, and I think about this.
Both.
I
I think it's both to
I think
answer
it's
your
both
question.
too. But if you think about just the nurture side of it, from what I understand, you had a very caring, nurturing, attentive parent growing up,
Yes. Yes.
and I did not. And so if you think back, and then you think about our parents' generation, who mostly did not have attentive parents. Like, I'm not saying they were bad parents, but they were from the age of like 4, like, go roam, go do your thing, get
Yeah.
out of the house, leave me alone, go find things. Parents were not attentive like we plan to be now. And it makes me wonder, is it actually better and teaching better skills to not be that attentive? And I'm not saying not loving and not caring. I'm saying not actually, like, from a very young age, making your kids solve their own problems. Or is it better? It feels better as a parent to be that parent that shows up. But it's like, does that actually set your child's brain up for better or worse problem solving? And does it depend on the child? Because for one person, having that independence and having to learn that at a young age, it could very well set them up for better problem solving, better time management, better emotional capacity, like much. And another child, it could cause it worse.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then it's like, what part of that is nature? What part of that is nurture? What part of that, it wouldn't fucking matter. The kid's going to end up the same way anyways.
Yeah.
And I know there's no answer to that, but that's what my brain wonders all the time.
It's so fascinating, isn't it? And I think there isn't an answer because you're not ever going to know really. But I think that I'm not going to sit here and debate whether I'm not going to sit here and say ADHD does not exist and isn't diagnosable or medicatable, because I think that it is.
100%.
I also think that the work into executive functioning skills can lessen the effects of it and lessen maybe the, like, maybe when I do this nervous system work and executive functioning skills work, maybe I still take a little bit of medication, but maybe it's less medication. I don't know. I have no idea. Maybe my life circumstances exasperated this ADHD thing. And maybe
it's better than it would have been had they not been what they were.
Right?
I'm talking about your growing up life circumstances. Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I have you have no idea. We have no idea.
No, because you can't ever know, because the litmus test doesn't exist for that, because we're all individual people. But it is interesting. And maybe the amount of people being diagnosed now with ADHD is a combination between research and awareness, and also an entire generation of people that was raised with a different kind of parenting. You know?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I always think of it like the way that I can relate to your ADHD and like this learning of emotions behind it is with anxiety. Because I remember when I was in my early 20s, mid 20s, and I had a client, and they've become a good friend, and if they listen to this, they're going to know exactly what I'm talking about. But they were talking to me one day about anxiety, and I remember so vividly where we were walking, like what the weather was like during this conversation, because she was sharing with me her anxiety and how that showed up in her brain. I was like, I think I asked, like, what do you mean? Like, what is this? And she was telling me all the thoughts she would have, all the bad thoughts she would have in her brain in preparation for life and things that were going on. And I remember thinking, like, I didn't say this out loud, but in my head, I remember thinking, like, I have those thoughts too, but I don't have anxiety. And she was sharing all of this with me, and I was like, I do the same thing. And anytime I heard someone talking about I have anxiety and the thoughts that would go on in their head, I would think I have those thoughts too, but I had never had like this crippling emotion behind any of those thoughts. And I realized, like, then after everything happened with Theo and anxiety reared its crazy head with Theo and everything that happened with him, I realized I did have anxiety growing up. Massive anxiety, but somehow I had learned that I never let the emotions stop me. I don't know why. And I had the emotions growing up. I mean, when I was little, I'm sure they did, but as I can mostly think of as a teenager, I had the emotions growing up. I had the emotions as a small child. I can remember them. I had the emotions as a teenager, but I remember talking myself through them. Like the one example I can think was grade 8, and I was terrified of flying. I still hate flying. I'm still convinced the plane's going down. Like we're going on this trip to Japan in November, and my sister is just constantly talking about like planning and all these things, and I'm like, honest, and like the things she's worried about in terms of planning, I'm like, literally all I'm thinking about is whether the plane's going to go down while we're going there, or whether the island's going to flood while we're on it. Like that is where my brain goes, like that. And like pre-Theo, I would have had those thoughts and not had emotion behind them. Now they cause me panic. But anyways, neither here nor there. When I was 13, we were going on this trip to Montreal for school. I was terrified of flying because I was absolutely terrified the plane was going down. And I'm pretty sure this was before 9/11. So, but I was terrified of flying, terrified of the plane going down, absolutely horrified. But I also knew, I remember this thought. At 12, 13, I remember thinking, but I want to travel. And I cannot travel if I do not get over this fear. And this is my first opportunity. I'd never been on a plane before. This is my first opportunity to figure this out. And I remember thinking, how can I make this better? And I had my one friend, and his name was Dustin. And I was like, I will go on this if Dustin sits next to me the whole plane ride. And he did. But I cried. I cried the entire plane ride. But I knew I wanted to go. I knew I wanted to get to the other side. And so I know that I did that a lot as a kid, is I would have the feelings, I would have the emotion, but I had this ability to rationally thought about what it meant to get through them. And I would do that. And that led to, as an adult, when I had those anxiety thoughts, I no longer had the emotion behind them. It went away completely. I completely had figured out how to remove the emotion. And then when everything happened with Theo, it threw all the emotions back into it. And then since then, I've been having to learn how to chill the emotions back down. So it's like I can relate to the ADHD thing in the sense of anxiety, because it's like I've had it control me. I learned how to not let it control me. And I so much so that I didn't even realize I had it until I had something happen that drastically decreased my ability to control it. And anyway, so I just like, I can relate to that, because it's like, you can think, I don't have it. I don't have it. I don't have it. I don't have it.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, you do. You just, maybe you haven't.
Had coping mechanisms put in place before. Yeah. And then it rears its head when your coping mechanisms either cease or aren't enough to overcome it anymore. Yeah. 100%. 100%. And they're saying, actually, what you just said is actually, first of all, I think what you're talking about is executive functioning skills. I should get Kate to weigh in on this conversation. But anyways, so what I was going to say is exactly what you're describing is exactly why the big they, are saying there is a massive influx of adult women being diagnosed with ADHD because they have had those coping mechanisms in place their entire life, and then they become mothers and the coping mechanisms don't keep up anymore. And then all of a sudden everything's exasperated, everything is overwhelming, all the toggles, all the tabs open, all of the things happening, and you can't keep up anymore because
your pretty little box anymore.
Because your coping mechanisms were in place for little girl growing up, teenage girl in school, young adult in college, young adult starting their career. And the minute you put in all of the other things that come in life with potential marriage and babies and career and all of those things, the coping mechanisms are like, whoa, didn't prepare for this. And that's the sink or float situation. And I think that is exactly why there's so many.
And I wonder if this has
women.
to do with, like what you were saying before. I wonder all the things. I wonder if this has to do with like what you're saying before. Before, like even when I was growing up, but more so like years before me, it was there was an ability to work, right? Like you weren't put this conversation of a career and pursuing your own interests was never a thing for females for years. And suddenly it was. And now how that progressed through parents teaching that to their children is different per household. But if you are prepared, if like growing up, all that's spoken into you is you will be a mother, you will take care of your children, you will raise your children, you will keep house, you will do these things. That is what you are preparing for. So you are building coping mechanisms for that. If all you were talked about is like, maybe that's a side piece, but like you're going to school, you're getting an education, you're going to support yourself, you're going to have your own income, you're going to have a career, you're going to climb a corporate ladder, you're going to have a good retirement. That is what your coping mechanisms are preparing you for.
Yeah.
And then because most of us end up at some point being like, not most of us, many of us, there's really statistically not most of us at all when we look at the reproductive rate of society. When some of us decide, oh, I do want to have children, actually.
Yeah.
We have literally planned no coping mechanisms for what it means to become a parent, because
Become a parent and have to choose between both or toggle between both.
Yeah, and we didn't, it was never a dual conversation. And I would say for me, I never gave a shit about a career. I never thought about my life in that way. I always did not care. I knew that motherhood was my only plan. So, and I'm not saying motherhood never threw me one, but I don't feel like it threw me less. I don't feel like I'd ever really had that. People have asked me so many times, how did you handle the stress of becoming a new mom? And I'm like, I never had that. It never hit. I was the chillest with anybody with my first child.
Yeah.
And that's not a flex. I'm not bragging.
No.
But I think if you threw me in the other direction where I had a full on career and I didn't get to show up in the capacity that I thought I was going to as a mother, that would throw me hard. Because I did not mentally prepare or build coping mechanisms for that. And so I'm like, I wonder if the failure is I mean, it is the pressure on both, but it's of the fact that when there is no mental preparation for motherhood or parenthood anymore, it's a mental preparation from the time you were in school for school, career, that. And then at one point we decide to have children and we have we've not built any preparation for it. Zero. Yeah. All we're relying on is some books that we decide to read when we're pregnant and maybe some conversations, but there's no actual preparation. I'm like, maybe that's why this is a problem and why this is coming up so much more for people now is like you said, is it's like once that pretty little box can't be there, once that box that you've prepped for, whereas generations before were only prepping for motherhood. And I'm not saying they didn't struggle. I'm not trying to undermine that by any means. I wonder if that's the missing
absolutely
piece,
exacerbated this. I think 100%, because you think like when kids are growing up, even still, what do you want to be when you grow up? People ask children what they want to be when they grow up, and it's a word: a firefighter, a teacher. And then what if somebody came into that conversation and said a mother? Oh, well, yeah, but what are you going to do for work? Yeah, but nobody's just going to say, okay, cool. Yeah. There's this, like, what are you going to be? What are you going to be? And then you start preparing for that. And there's this it's just a pressure. The toggle is a really tough thing. And I think a lot of women face it. I think a lot of women who choose to have families face this, like,
even the way we define it in our heads. Like, I had this conversation. This was in the summer. Yeah. I had this conversation in the summer. And I can't remember specifically how it happened, but we were talking about life and goals and blah, blah, blah. And I wish I could pinpoint. I wish I could just like rewind, go listen again and bring it back, because I had said I always wanted to be a mom. That was all I ever wanted. And the person asked a question back, and it was the person is the kindest person. Like, they're so gentle and kind. I cannot remember. So there was no ill intent meant back. But he asked something like, what does that mean? Or like, what did that look like to you? Or something like that. I can't remember what he asked. But it was this light bulb moment for me that every time I've said all I ever wanted to be growing up was a mom, my definition of motherhood is very, very, very different from somebody else's. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So like, if I say to a mom who has a career, who's always worked a full-time career and also decided to be a mom, her definition of motherhood is very, very different from my definition of motherhood. And like, she can say, I also always wanted to be a mom, but she doesn't, but I can't understand how being a mom for her involves a career. And she can't understand for me how being a mom doesn't involve a career. How are we both mothers, but we both have very different definitions of what that looked like? I don't know if I'm putting this in the right words of the way the emotion and the thought, the explosion went through my head when he asked this question. But I realized that it potentially sounded like I was always diminishing a mom who wanted a career and motherhood for my own definition of career. And that was never my intention. It was just, I had this definition in my head of what it looked like, of what I always wanted to be. And I never realized like this other peace until he asked me that very well-intentioned question.
Yeah.
And it's like the coping mechanisms are different for both.
Totally.
You know? So that was like a thing. That was like, it was like one of those things that I was like, oh, yeah, like technically being a mom is just giving birth. Technically, do you know what I mean? Like if you've given birth, whether you parent the child or not, you are a mom. And my definition goes beyond that, and other people's definition is obviously in between that. And there's so much leeway in that. And I realized that this thing I've been saying a billion times is like probably not computing in people's brains the way that I mean for it to, and not because their brain is doing anything wrong, because I've had a lack of ability to properly communicate what I mean when I say that.
Interesting.
You know what I mean? Because like my vision of motherhood.
You've talked about it lots. You've talked about it. You do talk about that a lot, and I think you communicate pretty clearly that you don't have any judgment on anybody else for their choices. It's just that those aren't your choices, and I think that, yeah, I think it's part of this whole toggle from 1950s till now.
Yeah,
it's that now we have choices. We have choices now. And the choice is, we can just stay in the career box. We can I don't like that just. We can stay in the career box. We can stay in the mom box, or
we can do both.
We can have the all box. And I think that the real flex is being able to appreciate and acknowledge that they're all important. And that they all matter, and that they're all individual choices, and none of them make that person less important.
Totally.
Or less valued.
I just mean like
all of them.
The way that I say, well, all I ever wanted to be was a mom. So like it just was pretty easy for me to say that. Like when I say that, I don't mean that as a flex. I don't mean that as a brag. I don't mean that as it was just literally, I didn't occur to me that's literally all I prepared for. But if you have someone who always wanted to be a mom, but also always wanted some strong career, or maybe even didn't always want to be a mom, but they knew that they would be a mom one day, it was just like probably a thing. And I say that to them, and then they struggled with motherhood. In their mind, it's like I bet it's kind of like I'm faulting them or shaming them for having this struggle with motherhood because they also always wanted it. Yeah. But because we're coming from two different perspectives. Right. Do you know what I mean? Whereas I know me and you had very similar perspectives on it, but somebody else would be like, I also always wanted to be a mom, but that doesn't make it easy for me. And I'm like, and
yeah. And you know what? There's another thing that changes that. The other thing that changes that is when you decide something, it is harder to make you feel bad about it. Like you're like, I have made this choice and nobody's going to make me feel like shit about it. Screw you. Where that's who you are. Where I think that there's a lot of pressure on women to, you hear people say, I'm just a mom. No, you're not. You're a mom. Like, don't take just out. Because I think that there was like this whole thing about if somebody said that, somebody could come in and try to make you feel bad about it. And then you're like, you're feeling a little bit bad, or you feel a little guilty, or feel a little bit, like you could have two people with the exact same life and one's going to feel bad about it, one's not. Yeah. Yeah. And you know what I mean? Like,
and that ties back to our ADHD conversation about it's the emotion behind it, not the actual action in itself.
Societal pressure, and whether you're going to take the societal pressure or not take the, and you're very good at not taking the societal pressure. You're very good at being
things. I'm bad at it in other things.
In this one, I'd say you're pretty solid.
I'm really bad at it on the sides of a house and the clothes I wear.
Oh, I'm
see. Very bad at it in those.
Whole other conversation.
Keep going. I'm sorry.
No, not at all. I'm just, this is so funny because we had talked about doing a banter about medical stuff.
Yeah, we didn't get there.
And I took us in a whole other direction. I did not mean to do that. Sorry,
no, this is a good one. I think this is a really good one.
It is a good one.
I think this is, I think this is a really good one. Thanks for sharing that with me. Thanks for listening to our banter, our impromptu banter. And
that's fun. I'm glad we did it.
Yeah, me too. We'll see y'all later.
Hey, wait, before we say see y'all later,
what?
I want to say if anybody has anything that they want to add into this conversation, we're totally open to having a round table about this because
please do.
I think there's I think there's definitely lots to talk about here, and I'd love to talk to other people about their perspectives on this. So if you
Yes.
want in, let us know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go through the episode and write down your arguments with the things that we said.
Not necessarily arguments.
Well, whatever. Your
whatever.
counter offers. And
Or agreeing.
or
whatever.
agreeances. Whatever. I'm a big fan of constructive criticism, so I'm going to go with counter offers. And we can have a conversation. I would love for someone to be like, you said this, and this is why I disagree with it. Or you said
I would love
this,
somebody
and
to
this
say,
is why I
you
agree
said
with
this,
it.
and I feel like this too.
Yeah, whatever it is. Either way, let's have a conversation about it.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, everybody. Goodbye.
Thank you so much for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. To help support the growth of this podcast, please feel free to leave us a review, follow us on socials, or recommend us to your friends. Your support honestly means the world to us. With love, Sammi and Melissa.